It's all great stuff. But we'll put a pipe in it. A pin in it. We'll put a pipe and a pin in it.
What kind of pipe?
Oh, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong. You're not Masha Slamovich, are you? Is your name Masha Slamovich?
No. I mean,
No.
it could be.
No. There we go. You're one of the minds behind. Oh, first of all, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Now your second time on, and we're just having a little fun. We're talking a little NXT and
okay.
all that stupid, all that wrestling, and complaining about people. We're complaining about people complaining about Alexa, Shayna, and the doll, and how nobody had an issue when it was the Fiend and his puppets, but now they have an issue. But that's where we were.
So I didn't watch, but I did see some chatter about how that's like either her new gimmick or she's carrying on the gimmick, and people, I don't know, what I saw, people weren't reacting super well to it.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it plays out. But anyways, for the people that are in the chat that may not have been here the first time you were around, why don't you introduce yourself and then we'll talk about the comment.
Yeah. Hey everybody. My name's Ed Cannell. I am a co-writer, co-creator of the comic book miniseries Invasion from Planet WrestleTopia, which is actually available now in sort of digital form. And we're excited because we launched a Kickstarter to put the entire series in a print volume, and which is live now, and I'm sure we'll share the link in the chat or what have you. But grew up obsessed with wrestling, sort of in the late 70s and 80s, the old territory era.
Mm-hmm.
And so this comic book, it was written by myself and my co-writer Matt Enton, but it's kind of our it's an action comedy. I should maybe just real quick say what it's about, but it's real quick. It is a disgruntled professional wrestler, rock and roll Rory Landell, who is screwed by his promoter, and he was promised the world belt. He gets screwed out of it, so he decides to cut a promo on live TV where he says, I don't care about the world title. I'm the galactic champion of the universe, brother.
Just declares himself galactic champion.
Yeah, and he has his own like made up belt.
Yeah,
and of course, TV signal goes out into space, intercepted by a planet of wrestling aliens with their own galactic champion. They are not happy, and that's the story takes off from there.
Right.
So it's a great. We had a hell of a lot of fun writing it, and some people described it as our love letter to the wrestling of our youths. That's pretty accurate.
It's when I was looking through my notes before, so I didn't double up and ask the same questions. And I noticed before I didn't even have notes. I literally had synopsis of each issue. So like issue 1 says backstory, and then it just talks about the thing. So I don't know what we did in that first show.
That's good though. I mean, that's really it's very professional.
This is a very professional show. But some of the things I can definitely remember that we talked about was how he declared himself galactic champion and sends it out, and it starts this whole war. It's definitely a Disney. It gives me a Disney Plus vibe now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Before I said, oh, it should be an animated series. It could be on Adult Swim or something. But now it gives me that, or Invincible. Gives me an Invincible drive. Because I think it's got to have a little risque to it.
For some reason, if something like that were to ever happen with this comic book, I like the live action stuff too. I don't know how they would pull it off.
Yeah.
But it would be right up there with the Mandalorian, right? It would be
right there. Yeah, bookend the Mandalorian.
As far as viewers and all that.
I have a memory that sometimes is good and sometimes is bad. Does Santa Claus get figure forward in this?
Yeah, it happens. It's just one panel. We don't beat the hell out of Santa Claus. I promise.
He's taken a lot of flack over the years in wrestling comics.
Yeah. There's some really fun scenes in which we see, of course, the WrestleTopians eventually invade Earth, And what they do is they run roughshod over the whole planet. And they're putting like the Secret Service, the White House in like the camel clutches, and they're,
Oh,
you know,
classic.
doing all this stuff. And at one point, because it takes place in December, there's a mauled Santa Claus that gets put in a figure 4 leg lock. And it's unfortunate, but those are WrestleTopians for you.
So there were 6 issues.
Yes.
6 issues. When I talked to you originally, I think you had completed maybe 4 of them.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are 6. Oh, see, my brain sucks. 6 issues. Okay, so once you finish those 6 issues and it was complete, what were some of the responses you were getting back, not only from wrestling enthusiasts, but also the comic book region, which does overlap quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, it has been. It's been great for a bunch of reasons. Like, so even this took a while as an indie project. Matt and I, we put all our own money into this to pay the artists. So, it took a while. We started, like, the first one came out in 2017, and it was 32 pages. It was a lot.
Wow.
Issues 2 through 5 are kind of like normal sized, and then issue 6 is this giant jumbo sized issue because we're poor planners.
Yeah, it was like 40 something pages.
45 or 48 pages or something. But so like, I mean, every day I would find bloggers, reviewers, critics, and podcasters, both like comic books and just wrestling. And the wrestling folks, like 90% of them were like, "Oh, cool, wrestling comic, totally!" Like, even if they never do comic reviews or anything, they would happily read it. Very often talk about it on their podcast, just talk about it, or even just like give it like a kind of a formal review. And I think if you're a wrestling fan, it's a pretty, it's a slam dunk, right? Like it's funny, it's a cool story. It's got a lot of heart. Actually, it's a kind of a redemption story for a protagonist. And so if you're a wrestling fan, it's pretty. The response has been great, right? People really, really dig it. Then there's like the comic book people who either are wrestling fans, were wrestling fans like growing up and have some nostalgia for it, or they're like secret wrestling fans. And you get the sense they don't really want that many people to know. And what we heard a lot from them too was that it's fun and funny. And from those folks, we heard you don't have to be a wrestling fan to enjoy this story. It's a little bit like one comic book reviewers described it as Galaxy Quest meets the WWE.
Yeah,
I think it was a pretty good descriptor, pretty good comparison. Because it's not necessarily about wrestling as much as it is about these wrestlers that bring down an alien invasion on our planet and our also our only hope. Like the whole planet's fate lies in the hand of this like washed. It's 15 years later, and Rory is wrestling in like casinos, like tiny casinos and like high school gymnasiums. No one knows where he is anymore, and the entire fate of the planet rests in this guy's hands.
Oh.
And the least responsible adult, on the planet. So it's more a story about him, kind of right. He has to grow up in a hurry. I think that's a good way to put it.
You mentioned live action earlier when we were talking about different things. Who would play Rory? Because now I'm trying to think of actors that could play him.
It's funny because like I kind of fell off wrestling even before, probably well before the Attitude Era even. But to me, like I think of like, oh yeah, no, sure, like The Rock or Stone Cold would be great. But now it's like my concept of time is, because I'm 48.
Yeah,
it's kind of like those guys are. I hate to say it, but those guys are getting like really old.
Yeah.
So it's like if you want a wrestler that could play like they're washed up,
it'd be one of them.
Yeah, it's like there's a whole generation now that you have to look at. Like Stone Cold pretty soon will be like almost too old to play Rory, which is sad.
It'd have to be Punk. He's an actor.
Yeah, it'd be like CM Punk or
he
Drew.
could do it.
Drew McIntyre or one of these guys that um, um, who knows? I think what we got to do first is get this Kickstarter
Yes.
funded, and it's not. I don't. I'm gonna be honest. It's not lighting the world on fire. The issues are finished. They got a great response.
Right.
Heard from a lot of people that they would love to get it in print, and so we thought this would be a good way to do it. And it's
Not.
just going okay.
Um.
So
For me personally,
yeah.
I've read them all on
Yes.
in PDF form. I hate
Yes.
doing that. There's
Oh,
nothing
yeah,
I hate more than
Yeah.
reading a. Hold on. Like, I would prefer to literally hold the comic. This is one from the Headlock Comics. I literally would have to hold it.
And we did put in, like, obviously it has some sort of exclusive bonus material too that's fun, that's not in the single issues, because we made it just for this book. We have some cool rewards. We're actually going to make some real wrestling trading cards.
Trading cards are big.
Yeah, they're great. And so we have a set of that look very much like the 80s Topps cards, and then another set that very much looks like the sort of Attitude Era stuff. And then both of them are reflected. They kind of add to what's the story of the comic book. They're obviously focus on characters and things that happen. And there's of course, it's not too much of a spoiler to say that the fate of the entire planet is going to be on the pay-per-view called Galacto Massacre in this story. So we have the official Galacto Massacre pay-per-view poster, which you can have on your wall.
Yeah, we got that's
and so those are fun too. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I working on this comic kind of got me back into comics, and I have a pull list, and I tend to only go to Comixology if I have to fill in some gap, like if Ron at my Outer Worlds games and comics, he's like, I got issues 1 through 3 and 5 through 7. And I'm like, oh, okay, well,
no crap.
I'm gonna have to. You got to get number 4. You got to go to Comixology to fill in that little gap, Otherwise, you'll never finish the miniseries or whatever it is. But yeah, I like tactile stuff, and we'll see. We'll see.
That could be. We could just be dating ourselves. We're older.
Yeah,
maybe
right.
maybe that's just why we like it. But I was looking at some of these tiers, and they're badass. There's one where, and they range. The prices all range. Get your own trading card. Get your name on the back. There was oh crap! What was one I saw today? It was all gone.
Is it? Well, you could. So what we kind of did with the rewards is we wanted to be a little different, and we said we want to incorporate for some of these like big rewards that are maybe a little out there, but fun. Like you can put yourself in the book essentially. Like you can put yourself on the back cover as a WrestleTopian. We had one person already who bid on this, but he's going to be on a trading card, and it's not just that like he would just slap him on a trading card, but like he's going to be Rock and Roll Rory Landell's tag team partner.
Oh yeah, that's what I read.
From the early '80s, like we were thinking, okay, before a protagonist became the top heel, they always do like they get started in the tag team competition. So it's like you'll be his partner from the early '80s.
He's the Marty Jannetty to Rory's.
Exactly. And then we had this grim idea where we were like, okay, so there is this big scene in the second issue where WrestleTopians invade Earth, and I talk about how you see them at the White House and all this crazy stuff, and we're like, okay, what if a lot of people, like most people, would kind of run and hide, but there had to be some people who are like, screw it, I'm going to try and body slam this WrestleTopian. I'm not running away. And we're like, okay, there had to be like so many Earthlings that like died.
Yeah.
The wrestle. So instead of like we are going to put the backers at the $25 and up level, we will put you in. We will list you all in the book. But then we thought, like, why don't we make it like a monument, like all these people died,
Yeah.
So you'll kind of become like
Like
and then
canon. Yeah, that's what it was.
yeah,
You become
there'll be a
canon.
different reward where you actually get like a more a full size like obituary, like you fell off a scaffold.
It's like
Mash.
Sharknado. You're just there.
Yeah, exactly. It
You're
colors
there.
all the people who died
You're there to get destroyed.
in the disaster, and and we'll see. I think we'll get there. We still have 2 weeks to go in this campaign, and I think we'll be okay. But
Yeah, we'll get the word out.
yeah.
What else can we do? What else can we do besides tweeting? We'll get the word out.
It's it's interesting. It's our first crowdfunding effort of any kind,
Right.
and I think there's some things we could have done to make it a little easier. Because I did a lot of research, and then I realized today I'm like the one thing I didn't do the one research I didn't do that I wish I had was I wish I would have Googled why my Kickstarter failed, and then all these people are talking about like
What they
how
didn't do. Yeah.
what they wish they knew, and I was like, this I should have read. Like if I would have just read this.
I was just gonna ask you, like, is there data on do most people achieve their first crowdfunding Kickstarter, or
it is something to the effect of it seems a little boom or bust, like or to a certain extent. The stat I think I read today was like, well, if you can get to 25% at all,
okay,
there's a high chance that you'll fund.
Oh.
And we're at 25%, so
cool.
And we still have 2 weeks to go. And then I think there are some Kickstarters that for whatever, if you launch and you get almost nothing, that's
not good.
That's a sign that you won't get. That's not good. I mean, it is. I'll be honest. Whenever anyone does a Kickstarter, and I don't know if you've done one before.
No, but we've had the Smack Talk Showdown guys on here before, twice, I think, when they were just getting started too.
Okay.
So I mean, that's all.
I mean, obviously, you do a crowdfunding campaign. The first people you tell are like your friends and family. Like, hey, we're doing this, right? Please share.
Yeah.
And you're not necessarily asking your friends and family for money, but they're the first people who know. Well, we got some lovely support from friends and family, and not necessarily very. Most of my friends aren't into comics or wrestling, but they're really supportive.
Yeah, they're new. Yeah.
And so you get through that, and then it's like, well, okay, now we need to sell a lot of books to strangers because who like wrestling or comics or both, and that I will admit has proven far more difficult than I suspect. Like I didn't think it would be easy, but it was just like doing paid ads and all this stuff, and just kind of crickets.
Yeah.
And then you get a few people will trickle in, and it doesn't take a lot. Even at $25 for this book, it doesn't take a lot. It adds up pretty quickly, but it is weird, like how I don't know. And we have so I was saying for years we've been sending this out and accumulating kind of like a press list, and and it's weird how many or how hard it is to get people to kind of want to jump in. I think the big lesson, which is not something that we could change on a dime, is that like before you crowdfund stuff, I think you need to build the audience first, almost even before you make it, right?
Yeah.
The really smart people spent the last 3 years just building an audience on social media. And if you have like tens of thousands of people that are into your whatever
you do, yeah,
like you're doing, like what you're doing here is a prime example. And if you get enough people that are interested, then you could say, hey, I'm going to do a wrestling alien wrestling comic, and then you
it'll be funded before it's made.
Yeah, we did it backwards, right?
Yeah,
like made the thing, we paid for it, and it's all finished, and we thought we thought it lowers the risk, right? Like we're not going to bail on the Kickstarter, like it's already done, we just have to send it to the printer. But we forgot to build like an audience,
Yeah.
and so it's more like scrambling to find it while the clock is ticking. Probably isn't the smartest move. Like I said, a little bit backwards, but
You're
whatever.
gonna get it done, Ed, and it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. Yeah,
It's gonna happen.
I need the pep talk. That's why I came on here.
I know that Spuddy in Canada. I know. Look at Spuddy. You're in Canada. Spuddy in the chat. He's in Canada. So if he clicks that link that we just posted, gets one of the tiers, it's actually going to save him money because he's using Canadian money. Wait, no, actually, it would cost more, wouldn't it? No, it would save him.
Does it?
No, it costs more. I'm working on it right now.
Come on,
so
Vanessa.
Sorry.
That's Kickstarter probably does a conversion of some kind.
They'll figure it out.
Does. So the $45 tier would be $54.39 Canadian.
Oh, Spuddy wants to know if this is this guy in the chat, longtime friend of our show, always asks these same questions. Do you collect action figures from the WWE?
I had some. I can't say I collect. Like when I was making this comic, I handled most of the action scenes, and I've done this kind of thing before because my day job is writing for video games, and I've been doing that for 20 years, and we even worked on I worked on this comedy horror. Well, it was a horror film. It was like a slasher film with some comedy. And so I take that stuff really seriously. Like I was like, I don't ever want to just put make a cool action scene here. Thanks, artist. Like I don't want to do that. So I bought all these action figures. I mean, I got like Dusty Rhodes, I think AJ Styles, and Roman Reigns. I got all, and I just would play with them to be like, because obviously the comic is Rory and some companions trying to physically get from the American Southwest to the St. Paul Sportatorium so he can wrestle the WrestleTopian Galactic Champion and decide the fate of the planet. But along the way, there's all these WrestleTopians that have their own sort of selfish motives for not wanting him to be there. So they end up wrestling in a water park. They end up wrestling in all these weird places. And instead of shooting or punching each other, it's like they're suplexing each other in the middle of the street.
It's like a video game, Ed.
It's like those old beat 'em ups.
It's like Double Dragon.
So I'm figuring out the action and the wrestling action figures. Not only were they fun as hell, to play with as a man in my late 40s, but they helped me figure out the action for what's supposed to happen in the comic book.
Yeah.
So I've got a few, and I've got Vern. Someone gave me a Vern. I've got a Shockmaster figure on the wall here somewhere, or on my, I've got a Shockmaster.
He's in the show all the time he's trying to get me hooked to buy figures, and I'm like, Spuddy, I got 3 fucking daughters. You think I can go out and buy an Elite Series figure?
Yeah, it's you have to be careful what you get into, right?
Yeah,
I have this massive. I see you have a Red Sox.
Yeah,
I have a massive baseball card collection.
Have you been looking through them? They're jumping up again.
I will open some occasionally. I will open some. I will open a few every day. It's like a ritual.
Nice.
So
they're new ones. So they're new packs.
Oh yeah. I buy them. I mean, they don't go back too far, but I buy a ton of these.
Oh yeah, you need to be careful with that, Ed. Yeah, that stuff. You be careful. People will jump you on the street for that.
Oh, and it's and I buy some comic books, and it's just I've got no room for any other obsessions or money. You just got to be careful.
They even stopped selling the boxes, the boxes of packs of cards. You know how they're all in the boxes. They stopped selling them at our Target here because
they stopped.
People were just storming in there. You would think they were giving out gold.
Yeah,
insane.
Yeah, it is insane. There were a few smart ways to go about getting them, and I have a bunch of NBA cards and NFL cards. I should probably not mention them so I don't get burgled.
Do you have any wrestling trading cards? I have
I
some.
do have a few. Like you would see them every once in a while, even at Target.
Yeah.
We actually just, I gave
Yeah.
away a few of these. Just,
Now, where do you give those away? On your Twitter?
I did. Yeah, one. I did. We did give away. We are going to give away one today on the Twitter. Just for people
SBP Comics or your Twitter?
SBP, like Suspicious Behavior Productions _comics.
Okay.
So we may do that again. I mean, these also are just kind of hard to find. I don't have that many.
No.
They aren't like, I think this was $15 or $20, and it still costs $15 or $20. But they're sold out, and you really can't find them anywhere either. And what's crazy is let me see what the odds are here. 1 in 6,000. There's an autograph. There's John Cena's autograph for somebody.
It's gambling. It's gambling at its finest. Gambling for children.
It's like a lottery ticket.
Yeah. Can't play unless you win. Well, Ed, I'm going to tell you this. You're a couple weeks into the Kickstarter.
Yes.
And just like anything, it's gonna take a while. You gotta get it going. You gotta kickstart it. I guess that's the name. I guess that's why they call it Kickstarter. But I have a feeling that you're gonna go over. You're gonna end up getting your hand raised at the end. I will shamelessly promote it from now until the time's done, because I just like doing that.
I appreciate it. And we appreciate you having. I appreciate you having me on last time. It was really great.
Yeah.
And like I said, I am optimistic.
Yeah.
I think that we did some things that we didn't do some things that would have helped. But we've gotten a lot of great support, from sort of wrestling, community and comic books, and so we just need to Hulk out. We need a Superman finish here.
That's
and
right.
All right.
Ed, why don't you let let Spuddy know in the chat where he can find more on the comic, more on the Kickstarter. I mean, we got the links in there, but I'm going to give you the mic. Put anything you want over. The floor is yours.
Okay. Well, let's see. If you want it, the best way to keep up with us in general is on Twitter. We're pretty active. So it's Suspicious Behavior Productions. SBP _comics. And then, please just, check out the Kickstarter. It's a great book. It's funny. It's finished. You don't need to be a wrestling fan to enjoy the story.
I agree with, yes.
If you know somebody who's into comics at all, good chance that they'll really dig it. Wrestling fans, it's a pretty easy, low-hanging fruit for wrestling fans. If somebody's into both wrestling and comics, it's very rare that they're not excited by this, concept. So, please check it out. And as I said, there's some really fun rewards. And if you buy a book for $25, you can get a second one for a buddy for $20. All kinds of fun stuff that we have on the Kickstarter page, and we'll do updates there, and a few giveaways, like I said. So please check us out.
Yeah, if you got the means, support the Kickstarter. If not, be a friend, tell a friend. That's priceless.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's not your cup of tea, just let's let people know, and it'll. What will happen will happen. We'll accept what the universe has to offer us.
Awesome. Well, Ed, it was a pleasure to talk with you again, and I can't wait to have you back on, actually.
Yes.
For sure.
We'll talk about how successful it was next time.
Exactly. Have a great night.
Hey, you too. Take it easy.
Yep. Peace. Awesome. Great stuff.